The path to long-term success for you and your team begins with finding your why and acting in accordance with it. Big idea number 1. Start with why. In his book, Start With Why, Simon Sinek shows us what he refers to as the golden circle. And he shows it to us to explain how some of the world's most well-known leaders were able to achieve extraordinary levels of success. He talks about people like Martin Luther King Jr. He talks about the Wright brothers and how they invented the airplane. And he talks about Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. What was it about these people? What did they do that helped them differentiate themselves from others who were just as smart, just as hardworking, and sometimes even better funded? Simon tells us that extraordinary leaders like these were guided by the golden circle. And here's how it goes. All businesses, all organizations, and all careers operate on 3 fundamental levels: what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. We're all acquainted with what we do, the products we sell, the services we offer, the jobs we do. A few of us know how we do it, the things we think differentiate us or make us unique compared to the rest of the crowd or our competition. But very few of us can clearly articulate why we do what we do. Our why is the purpose, the cause, or the belief that drives every organization and every person's individual career. Why does your company exist? Why are you doing your job? Why did you get out of bed this morning, and why should anybody care? Here's how the authors put it in the book, Find Your Why. When we meet new customers or clients, the first thing most of us tell them is what we do. Then we explain how we do it or how we are different. And we think this is going to be enough to gain their business, change their point of view, or persuade them to take action? No. Here's an example of 2 different pitches from the same company that they talk about in the book, and the product that they're trying to sell is none other than plain old paper. 2 different pitches, one that's effective and one that is not, one that uses why and one that does not. Example pitch number 1 uses a basic, typical approach to selling. Example pitch number 2 uses an approach that starts with why. Let's begin with example number 1, the typical approach. We sell paper. We offer the highest quality product at the best possible price, lower than any of our competitors. Want to buy some? Now, this is a very rational approach. It tells us clearly what the company does and tries to persuade buyers, you and us, to choose their product, their paper, over another product on the basis of features and benefits. Now, this approach may work sometimes, but as soon as the buyer finds a better deal, they're going to be gone. Why? Because the pitch does not differentiate this specific vendor from other companies in any way that really matters, in any meaningful way. We can't inspire people by telling them about features and benefits. Loyalty and long-lasting relationships, those are based on something a lot deeper. Now let's revise the same pitch for the same product by the same company by starting it with why. Example pitch number 2, the approach that starts with why. What good is an idea if it can't be shared? Our company was founded to help spread great ideas. The more ideas that are shared, the greater the likelihood those ideas will have an impact in the world. There are many ways to share ideas. One of them is the written word. That's where we come in. We make paper for those words. We make paper for big ideas. Want to buy some? Wow. What a difference, right? Starting with why turned a mundane product like paper into something people can really relate to, even be inspired by. And if it can do that for a commodity, imagine what it can do for a product that can really stand out. Imagine what it can do for you. This pitch, it's not just based on facts and figures, features and benefits. Those things do have value, but not first. Leading with why has a much deeper, more emotional, and ultimately more influential value. And when we use the second pitch, we're no longer talking about paper, are we? We're talking about who our company is and what our company stands for, what we stand for. And of course, you'll always get those people, right, who just want a ream of paper. They just want cheap paper. And yet, if your customer's personal beliefs and their values align with those expressed in your pitch, i.e., if they believe in the spread of ideas, and if that really resonates with them, then they're much more likely to want to do business with you, not just one time, not just a couple of times, but on a recurring basis over and over and over again. In fact, they're more likely to stay loyal to you even if another vendor offers a better price. It says something about them when they do business with a company that reflects their beliefs. Now let's go over another example of starting with why from the book, and this time about how an individual articulated her why to get the edge for a job interview. Emily was applying for a position at a large global corporation. She had a great resume, which allowed her to get her foot through the door with the job interview. So, the day comes for her interview. She walks in, she sits down, and the company's HR director looks at her and opens with the following interview question. So, what can you bring to our company? Now, the interview panel knew that Emily was bright. They knew she was a straight-A student, but because she just graduated from college, they were concerned about her lack of experience. More important, they wanted to know whether she'd be a good fit for the company culture and how she might deal with pressure. We have a lot of highly qualified applicants for this position, the HR director says. Tell us what you've got that they don't. Now, here's Emily's response. She was ready, not because she'd practiced potential interview questions and role-played them, not because she'd studied up on the company's history, but because she was about to start with why. Here's what she said. Now, before I talk about what I might be able to bring to your company, she said with a calm tone, let me first give the reason I get out of bed every day. I strive to help people be the best version of themselves. That's what inspires me. And based on your website, I sense that this is precisely what you believe in too. So why wouldn't I apply to be part of your organization? Boom. Emily's statement caught everybody's attention in that room. The interviewers were no longer shuffling papers around and secretly looking at emails on their iPhones anymore below the table. They were looking at Emily now. And at this point, Emily then began to start telling them about her skills and her strengths, but she had already won the interview. She had that thing on lockdown. The battle was already won. Her first exchange, which lasted less than 30 seconds, had already inspired the interviewers to hire her. Now, how'd she pull this off? She did it by starting with her why. She spoke directly to the limbic decision-making centers of the interviewers' brains. This is why starting with why is so powerful in the first place. It appeals to the part of our brain that's responsible for emotional connection. The part of our brain that processes the what-related stuff is a lot harder for people to connect with. That's why when you speak at why, when you start with why, when you talk about why, when you talk about your purpose, you're talking directly to that part of the brain that really understands emotions and can really feel your words and become inspired by them. But they can't really articulate those emotions. They can't articulate those feelings. They just know that they feel really inspired or really fuzzy inside or really just emotionally high when they hear what you have to say when you're articulating your why. Now, by showing who she was, the authors tell us, not just what she could do, she formed an instant, genuine connection. And that's all it took. They knew in their gut that they wanted her on their team. It was relatively straightforward for Emily, too. Instead of using prep time to come up with clever answers to a host of hypothetical questions, she had focused on being comfortable with communicating her why. And once she faced the panel, all she had to do was speak from her heart, i.e., her limbic brain, about what inspired her to want to work there. The rest of the interview felt so much more relaxed, more like a conversation than an inquisition, and her answers, all of them, validated the panelists' intuition, that feeling that they got when she articulated her why, when she started with her why. After the interview, as you can imagine, her cell phone rang before she even got home. It was the HR director offering her the job. Now, throughout the rest of this book summary, you'll learn about how to do what Emily did and what the paper company did. You'll learn how to find your why, how to start with why. And once you can do that, you'll be better able to clearly articulate what makes you feel fulfilled, and you'll better understand what drives your behavior when you're operating at your peak. Once you can do that, you'll have a point of reference, one that can guide you like a North Star for everything that you do going forward. You'll be able to make better decisions for your career, for your business, for your life. And you'll know how to inspire others to work with you, buy from you, or team up with you for a common cause. Whether you're an individual trying to find your why, or whether you're a full-scale company looking for your why, the big ideas we'll cover in this audiobook summary are going to guide you along. And by the time you're done, you'll be able to find and unleash your very own why. Big idea number 2, the 3 stages of a why discovery. Now, the authors designed the book to help both individuals and teams discover their why. And we'll be covering both processes throughout the summary, but the basic framework that they outline in the book is exactly the same whether you're trying to find your own why as an individual or whether you're trying to help others find theirs. Here's how it goes. Step 1, you want to gather stories and share them. This step is about looking into your past to find meaningful, emotionally charged experiences that you can share as stories to help connect your why or to help find your why. You'll want to press your memory for 5 or 6 very impactful stories in your life and then share them with a partner, more on that later, who will help you pin down your why. Step 2 is about identifying your themes. After you've looked into your past for some powerful stories that have shaped you as an individual or have shaped your organization or business, you'll begin to recognize themes. Are you the assertive one, the fun one, the energized one, the one who people look to for leadership? Look for emerging themes that can help you pull your why together into something cohesive. And finally, step 3, draft and refine your why statement. Once you've gathered your stories and identified your themes, you'll be ready to take a crack at your why statement, which will be no more than a single sentence. Now, as we move along into the next big ideas, we'll get more specific about each of these 3 stages. But for now, we just wanted to give you a quick overview. Again, step 1, gather stories and share them. Step 2, identify your themes. And finally, step 3, draft and refine your why statement. Big idea number 3. It's not about creation, it's about discovery. Some people struggle with finding their why out of nothing. The authors of Find Your Why remind you that it's already there. If you're looking for your why, your purpose, it's there. You just need to discover it within you. You need to do a little bit of mining, a little bit of digging inside to find it. Now, finding your why, it usually doesn't have anything to do with money, by the way. Though once you do tap into it, if financial abundance is important to you, finding your why can absolutely help you make more. But when it comes to finding your why, it's important not to let money be the defining factor. All the wealth in the world can't help you grow your business if you yourself are not inspired about your business in the first place. Financial incentives alone don't lead to long-term fulfillment and satisfaction with regard to your professional life, nor do they encourage your team to do a better job. Obviously, profits are incredibly important, certainly one of the most important factors of any organization or business, but when we're talking about meaningful work that inspires people, there's a more effective way to get the best out of both yourself as well as those you lead or work with. Instead of the old pay-for-performance model, think inspire for performance instead. Instead of being driven by numbers and instead of being overly focused on what you do or sell, you want to focus on the why. Your why is your purpose. It's a drive inside you that you need to find out. The best way to get to it is to go back in time and study your accomplishments and your passions. all the things that made you really feel alive, all the things that you enjoyed doing, which made you lose track of time. This is where the juice is. Also, you want to remember anything that inspired you when you were younger and the things that still move you to this day. You can recognize them by the joy and peace you feel by simply reliving a given experience in your mind, picturing it, visualizing it. And it doesn't need to be something big. Sometimes our why, it can be found in the smallest of actions from daily life, or even in emotions, memories, thoughts. So don't skip them. Think about them. Go over them in your head. Press your memory. A few actionable insights. Think about your why like you've never done it before. Find an isolated place and eliminate all the distractions. Empty your mind. Forget about the now, forget about the future, and focus on the past. You need to extract some valuable information from there. So make sure you're focused and truly invested in this exercise. Keep a pen and a pad handy or a journal. And you want to do this within the next 24 hours, preferably early in the morning or right before you go to bed, making sure there's no one there to disturb you. Go into a room, get some solitude for yourself, and just think about your past. Look for emotionally charged memories and experiences. Try to evoke memories of anything that left a mark on you, that you might be able to connect to your purpose, of things that made you excited, of activities that turned into a feeling of fulfillment. Now, some of them are not going to be big, but others, when brought back to your attention, will make you smile and will make you feel in harmony with yourself. You want to write these down in detail. Big idea number 4. It's the story behind the why that makes all the difference. Quote, at its core, the why is an origin story. Who we are is the sum total of the experiences we've had growing up, the lessons we learned, the teachers we had, and the things we did. Unquote. Your why, it comes from your past, and that's what makes it unique. It can't be duplicated because you and your exact life experiences cannot be duplicated. So don't worry about whether your why is too similar to someone else's why, or even if it's too similar to a competitor's why. Don't concern yourself with that stuff. Those comparisons do not need to be on your mind because you've simply been through different things than other people have. And those things have shaped your unique way of thinking. No two individuals or companies can be compared when it comes down to their why, their purpose. It might seem like that would be the case, but when you look closely, when you see the story behind why an individual or company does what they do, and you understand how different it is from why you do what you do, you'll see the difference. The story of your why is a story of origin. It all begins with who you once were and who you've become since then due to all the influences that have shaped your mind. Each matters and was an important step in your development. And we're all the combination of our past experiences, and that can't be replicated. You can use all that stuff that you've learned so far in life, those experiences, those powerful moments through other people such as teachers, parents, mentors, through experiences, and as a result of changing and understanding more about life, you can use all this stuff to your advantage and let it show the path, light the path towards anyone who's joining you on this journey should you decide to take other people with you. Say you're helping your entire business, your organization, your team, your employees find their why. Maybe you're the leader of an organization and you're really trying to articulate your organization's purpose and get everybody on the same page. Finding these experiences, if you're the leader of the organization and looking for something that really maybe perhaps the moment that you decided you wanted to found your company, the moment you decided that this was what you wanted to do, and now you've got a bunch of employees, you want to get them on the same page. So the key there might be to find a good story from your background that you can constantly use that's meaningful to you and is meaningful enough to be told to your employees and the public at large to help articulate your why. We'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through some of these other big ideas. But for now, an actionable insight. Tell your story the way it is. Don't leave anything behind. Don't skip important figures that took part in your personal growth. Write it all down. Then try to see the bigger picture. How has every big event made you a better person, a stronger person, more successful? What about the changes in your way of thinking? What caused them? And how are they an advantage in your career now? Big idea number 5, find a partner. The authors of the book suggest we all need to be fully prepared to go through the process of finding our why as effectively as we can. And finding a partner to help you identify your why is part of their process. There are 7 steps to working with someone to help find your why. Here they are. Step number 1 is to find a partner. Find somebody that you don't know too well. You don't want somebody who knows everything about you, because then they might end up distorting the experiences and the stories that you tell. They might end up projecting their own values into that, and that's not what you're looking for. You want somebody who knows you, but not too well, somebody who is willing to help, but doesn't know all of the things about you, somebody you can really share your stories with, and they might be hearing them for the first time. Step number 2 is to get your partner up to speed. Let them know what you're doing, tell them you're trying to discover your why, and they would really be helpful in that process. And then step number 3 is to pick a time and place to meet. Figure out where you want to meet, when you want to meet, and let them know that it's going to take a couple of hours of their time. And if they're willing to do that, then you can meet at so-and-so place. Get yourself a whiteboard or a poster board, something you can write with, something you can identify your stories and your themes and things of that nature with, a place where you can draft your why, ideally a place where you guys won't be interrupted. Step number 4 is to gather your stories. Refer back to those 5 or 6 stories that we mentioned you should jot down and think about in the earlier big idea here in this audiobook summary. Now, you want to share those, that's step number 5, with your partner. Share your stories with your partner. And then step number 6, identify your themes. This is where your partner tries to find patterns within the stories that you've shared and helps you figure out what the things are that tie all of these things together so that you can draft your why and implement them within your why. Is it leadership? Is it contribution? Is it helping others? Is it education? Is it empowering people, inspiring people? What are the themes that you want to incorporate within your why? And then finally, step number 7 is to draft your why statement. Now, here's an actionable insight on how to do this. Find the right partner by not looking for experts or even mentors, but for someone who genuinely cares about helping you. Now, a good trait to look for is curiosity. That means they'll ask insightful questions while you share your stories, and will notice recurring themes and ideas more easily. And then follow the next steps as you go. Big idea number 6. All 3 parts of the golden circle are equally important. Quote, while other individuals and organizations may express their why in a way that's similar to yours, it's how you bring your why to life that makes you unique. Unquote. The 3 elements of the golden circle, why, how, and what, are equally important. You're living your why when they are all in balance. Now, many people mistake the hows for who they want to be, while they really just show the way in which we behave or the work that we do. Even if the why might be similar to that of some of your competitors, there's no chance that you can be bringing it to life in the same way. That's because your hows are different. They're distinct. Hows are these actions that we consciously choose to do daily that help us get closer to the vision that we're headed towards, and also create an environment where anyone can thrive. Now, your hows are also your strengths. So during the process of discovery, when you identify a few themes, you also end up finding your strengths, tapping into your strong points. And often you might not have realized that they were such a big part of who you are, because they're often things that just come to you naturally. Actionable insights. You begin with describing the what, which is easy for everyone. You then move on to the how and try to see what actions led to doing your best work, how you share your values with the world and inspire change. You also see what decisions you make and actions you take on a daily basis that bring you to that bigger vision. Once that's defined, you're ready to put your why into words. It's the reason behind why you do what you do, your purpose, your cause, your belief. from why you get out of bed in the morning to why your company exists and why your people should trust you. Big idea number 7, share your stories. Now let's talk about what it really means to share your stories, some of the details of how to uncover those gems from your history, those experiences that you've had in your lifetime. The authors in the book really make it clear that stories are going to reveal plenty of facts, and these matter to the big picture, but that's not going to help you get to your own why or your partner's why if you're working with somebody else and helping them find theirs. Instead, you need to dig deeper and see the emotions connected to each story you share or hear. That's why taking notes is actually very important. That's why you need to relive the event and feel like you felt at that same exact time and place which you're pulling your story from, that experience, because that says a lot about what truly drives you as an individual, makes you really feel alive, and what matters to you the most. And this is where the big why is going to be hidden. And when you're going through a story from your past over and over and over again, you want to look for feelings. You want to leave the facts as facts. Just let them be. We're naturally inclined to begin a story by sharing the what, the where, and the who. And this is all fine, but we often unconsciously skip the why and the how. That's when you need to get back to the present moment, remind yourself that you need to first define the how to get closer to the why, and now tell the story with emotions involved. Actionable insight. Share the facts of your story, but don't pay too much attention to them. Immediately start digging deeper to find out the how behind everything, and then the why. Focus on emotions and feelings experienced during the event, how each of these made you feel, what's special about them, and how they affected your life as you live it currently. Big idea number 8, how to draft your why statement. Now, up until this point, we've discussed the major stages of a why discovery. Once you've got some meaningful stories and have a theme in mind, it's going to be time for you to draft your why statement. Now, your why statement should be simple and clear, actionable, focused on how you'll contribute to others, and expressed in affirmative language that resonates with you. Your why statement should be able to encapsulate all of these qualities that we just mentioned, and it should be able to do so in a single sentence. It should also be evergreen, meaning that it should be applicable to everything that you do, both personally and professionally, without separation. The authors write that your why statement is a statement of your value at work as much as it is the reason that your friends love you. We don't have a professional why and a personal why. We are who we are wherever we are. Again, we are who we are wherever we are. So no separation. Your contribution, it's not a product or a service. It's the thing around which everything you do, the decisions you make, the tasks you perform, the products you sell, it's where all that stuff aligns to bring about the impact that you envision. Now, Simon and his team provide us with a simple format in the book to use as we draft our own why statements. Here it is. To blank so that blank. That's it. To blank so that blank. And of course, you fill in the blanks with your own meaningful language. Now, the first blank, it represents your contribution, the contribution you make to the lives of others through your why. And the second blank represents the impact of your contribution. Your job, again, is to plug in the blanks to create your own unique why statement. But before you start creating one, it might be helpful to have some examples to reference. Here's how Simon Sinek, one of the co-authors of this book, expresses his why. To inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together we can change our world. To inspire people to do the things that inspire them so that together we can change our world. That's Simon's why. That's how he expresses it. The impact that Simon wants is for each of us to change the world in however way we can for the better. But this alone is too broad. It's not going to be enough. It's incomplete until his intended impact is combined with his contribution, the work that he actually does on Monday morning to make change happen. Now, the contribution portion, to inspire people, is what ties it all together, bringing focus and direction to the impact that Simon wants to make on the world. Simon's contribution is essentially what he does to make his why a reality. The books he writes, the workshops he conducts, the speeches he gives are all part of what he does to move his cause forward, to inspire people to do what inspires them. And the more he inspires people to do what inspires them, the more of an impact Simon's going to have towards making the world a better place. Now, to give you another example, here's how Dean Bakari, that's me, founder of Flash Books, this is how I express my why. To empower and educate people everywhere so that they can improve their lives and achieve their goals. To empower and educate people everywhere so that they can improve their lives and achieve their goals. Now, the impact that I want is for everyone everywhere to improve their lives, including you, and achieve their goals. And my contribution, what I do to make the impact I desire, writing books and articles, delivering speeches, publishing new episodes of my personal development podcast, Dean Bakari's Meaningful Show, all of these things are part of my contribution. Now, the book summaries that we publish here at Flash Books are also an expression of my why. And if you look at anything that I do, you'll notice that all roads, they all lead back to why, to empower and educate people everywhere so that they can improve their lives, achieve their goals. Now, this to blank, so that blank format was designed to be simple enough and straightforward enough such that anybody can draft a meaningful why by using it. And you can use it to create an individual why, or you can use it to create an organizational why, if you're doing it with a group of people, a team, or your business. And it's a powerful tool that can pull your thoughts and actions towards doing what matters most to you. And this is perhaps the most important key takeaway from this book, is being able to figure out the language and the way in which to articulate your why that best describes who you are. Not who you aspire to be, not who you want to be, but who you are, truly. An expression of your purpose. That's what it means to draft and tell people about your why. So, here's your actionable insight. Grab a pen and a pad and use this to blank so that blank template to start drafting your own why statement. Take as long as you need to do this, pause this if you need to, and keep in mind that you can modify your why as you evolve as an individual. None of this is set in stone unless you want it to be. So draft as many why statements as you need to until you find the one that resonates most with you on an emotional level. And once you've chosen a meaningful why statement, take a second. Pause, pat yourself on the back, and say congratulations. You now have your very own why. Big idea number 9. Discovering your why leads to hiring the right people. Quote, every entrepreneur wants a staff of true believers. But how can you find those people if you aren't clear on what beyond hard work you need them to believe in? Unquote. Another strong reason to know your purpose well and be able to explain it to people is that it will help you hire the right people to attract the right team to move your cause forward. Who you have on your team and how they perform, it's a huge part of the overall success of your company or the demise of it, the lack of it. You as a leader, if you lead a company, will need to form relationships, encourage action, motivate on a daily basis, and build trust. But even that is not going to be enough to make your people do their best without a strong, inspiring reason for doing so. And the best way to inspire your people to work with passion, to work with perseverance, is to discover the why that you believe in and share it with them passionately. Let them then create a vision of it in their mind and then help them believe in that vision as much as you do. You simply cannot find anyone who's a good fit for the job if you don't know what they should believe in. You might end up having to work with people, each of whom has their own different direction. Then the company won't move forward and thrive. But if you're absolutely sure about why you do what you do and manage to seek out others who believe what you believe, you'll then be able to recognize the right people during the hiring process and get them on your team and become stronger and more successful together. Actionable insight. Now, money is not a good enough motivator for people to share your why. It's wonderful. Have as much of it as you want, but just know what it is beyond wealth that you truly believe in, and find those who resonate with that philosophy as well. When talking to a potential candidate, describe your why. Always describe your why, your purpose, your cause, what you believe in. See how they then react, and then let them say what they believe in. And if you're using the same language or similar language and are both excited to make this happen, then you can hire them. And this also works if your roles are reversed. Say you're trying to get hired with a company. You want to make sure that you articulate your why, if it's in line with them, to position yourself in the best possible way, in the best possible light, so that you can become part of their team, get hired by that organization. Just like the example we gave in the very beginning of this audiobook summary with Emily, who articulated her why and said, hey, if this is what I believe in and this is what you believe in, then why wouldn't I want to apply for your company? So keep those things in mind. Big idea number 10, help others find their why. Once you've found your why, you can help others do the same. If you've chosen to do this, you should share the process of how you found your own why, and then focus on listening and helping them identify theirs. And when helping somebody discover their why, your main activity should be to listen, but to do so in a way that's much more mindful than what people usually do when they're communicating or trying to listen, quote unquote. It means really letting a person share their story and truly grasping or trying to grasp the meaning of every word that he or she says. It's about reading between the lines. You won't interrupt when they're talking. You want to be present when they're speaking, and you want to discover patterns from their past, ideas and thoughts, things that might lead to finding their purpose in life, because remember, you're helping them. Then you'll ask questions that will make the person in front of you experience self-discovery and understand why they did things years ago and how to connect those things and how these were stepping stones to change for them. Another important thing you need to do in the role of listener is to be objective. It's easy to use what you already know about someone to form an opinion, but you need to let go of that and work with a blank canvas. And together with that, forget about all the things you expect from this person, what you think you know about them, or what your relationship's like. That doesn't matter, and it can only cloud your judgment. What's more, it will lead to not asking the right questions, and the effect of this exercise won't be positive. So remember, this is not mentoring, it's not therapy. So make sure you don't express your opinion or try to solve problems. Just listen, ask thoughtful questions, and help them find the why behind what they mention. Actionable insight. Talk to somebody in your company who has not discovered their why yet. Have a private conversation, help them relax, and let them tell their story the way they see it. Listen without interrupting and take notes. Include ideas you notice, recurring themes from the past, even words that they use that might mean more than they realize. And while doing that, ask questions to encourage the individual to understand why something happened, get the meaning behind an event or experience, or why they came to a certain conclusion about something that happened. All of these things will lead back to helping them identify and express their very own why. Big idea number 11, ask the right questions. When helping somebody find out their why and listening to their stories, you'll ask questions. Now, what these questions are is of absolute crucial importance, as it aims to unleash the emotions connected to the experiences that they tell you about. Here are some examples suggested in the book about how to ask the right questions. How did that make you feel? What is it about this experience that you absolutely loved? You've probably felt this same feeling before. What is it about this story that makes it special? How did this experience affect you and who you've become? What was the lesson from that experience that you still carry with you today? Of all the stories you could have shared with me, what makes this specific one so special that you chose to tell it? Here's your actionable insight from this big idea. Ask questions while listening. Get your partner to stop focusing on what happened and to say more about how they felt about what happened. And utilize these questions that we just gave you as samples from the book. Use them as guidelines if you're helping somebody else find their why. And also, if you're still struggling with identifying your own, you can use these questions as you think about stories from your past, experiences from your past, and you pan for ways in which to figure out what your why is, your purpose is. Ask yourself these questions, perhaps even journal about them, and they'll lead back to your why. Big idea number 12. Help a group articulate their purpose with the tribe approach. In the book, the authors share something called the tribe approach. This is a way to help groups put into words the culture of an organization when it's operating at its natural best. To have a tribe, you just need a group of people with a common set of values and beliefs. Now, that could be your whole company, or it could be just your team or division. If you're the CEO, every person in the organization is your tribe. While if you're the director of a division, those working within that division are going to be part of your tribe. Even if there's not an obvious structure, you know who the members of your tribe are because everyone feels like they belong there. And your common beliefs can be expressed one way or another, thus helping you find each other. Now, the purpose of the tribe approach to the why discovery is to make the process even simpler. The authors in the book present the idea of nested whys. While an organization has one big why, the teams inside it, the subcultures existing in it, they have their own why. So a nested why like this serves the main purpose of the company, and it never competes with the company's why. And each individual in these subgroups, these nested whys, they have their own why too. Now, the main goal for long-term success here is to achieve balance between all of these whys, the nested whys, the subgroup whys, and connecting them all back to the company's wider, bigger why. So, how do you guide your group? How do you guide your group towards their why? There are 3 steps you need to take. Here they are. Number 1, set the context. Number 2, run the why discovery process. And number 3, draft that why statement. Actionable insight. Gather a group of people and set the context by bringing a respected leader into the room to explain why this session is happening and why it's important. Don't take more than an hour or so to do this. Mix up the room once you get started to make sure everybody's sitting next to people they don't know well and further from those they feel most comfortable with. This allows you to promote conversation. Next, give time to each pair to share their story and remind them that both parties should be equally invested in this. When everyone participates actively, there are also emotions shared through stories, and the group is then prepared for what follows. Inviting somebody up to present the inspiring story that they were just told. Big idea number 13. Acting on your why and your hows. Quote, just knowing your why doesn't mean we instantly feel comfortable sharing it. In fact, most of us have been communicating with our whats, as we've been shown to do for our whole lives. It's what we've been taught. Unquote. Now that you know how to articulate your why, it's time to actually do something to bring it to life. It's time to actually share your why with the world. Now, this is similar to learning how to ride a bike or any other thing you do for the first time. You can't seem to successfully complete the task, but then you apply different strategies to it, and most often you're distracted by what you think you should be doing as well, which is also what you've been told to do in the past and what you consider to be right, which leaves little to the imagination and our survival instinct to actually go with the flow and to just start cycling. Something beautiful happens when you give it a try, though. You just keep on trying, and you do it again and again after constantly falling down and unsuccessfully trying to get on that bike and ride it. And that means getting off the bike, but then getting on again, giving it another shot, trying again, falling down, trying again, until eventually you get the hang of it and ride effortlessly. Same thing goes for the process of finding and sharing your why. You might fall off the bike sometimes. That's cool. Get back on. It might seem hard at first if you've never done it, but once you try it a few times, see it from different angles, and experiment with your approach, you suddenly start to see how it works. You then do it naturally without as much effort. Here's your actionable insight from this big idea. Let go of all the things that you've known about having a purpose in life and go back to the beginning. Try to define the main drive that's behind why you do your work and want to reach your goals. If it's not clear enough, do it all over again. Try different methods. See how each attempt contributes to the big vision and makes your definition more detailed. Eventually, you'll come to your why, and it'll feel so right that you'll know for sure it's your purpose. Closing notes. The key takeaway from this book is this. Your why can be found in the stories you tell about your life and career. It's in the past and the emotions connected to anything you share, but you need an objective partner who cares, who will take notes, ask questions, and listen carefully to then give you a perspective that you would have never realized yourself. Some actionable insights. Some people are stuck in the what phase, and they rarely ask themselves why. You need to be open to sharing your stories with others so that you can see their opinion and look at things differently. When you focus on the emotions that these stories reveal, you'll get closer to your why. Next, what makes your why unique and completely different from the purpose of other individuals or the vision of other companies is the fact that it is a combination of all of your experiences, your unique experiences, everything you've experienced in your life so far and the emotions that go together with each event. It can't be duplicated because nobody else can do every single thing that you've done in your life in exactly the same way. There are no duplicates of you. There is only one you. Thus, there can only be one unique why with the same meaning and emotional value. Next, finding your why also leads to hiring the right people and getting them on board, after which they become your tribe. You can then use the tribe approach to help your people articulate their purpose. Good luck with finding your why, and thank you for listening